celebrating the power of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Diondre Jackson.
This is Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill, and so glad that you take this journey with us every week. And let me be clear. When we started the show was about and is about possibility, meaning what could you be if you got a clear vision of what your life is supposed to be and then you went after it. And after hundreds of shows, there's some commonality. First of all, you have to believe that something is possible and then commit to greatness and then take action and then keep believing. It's kind of rinse and repeat. So thank you for joining us week to week. We love it. Or wherever you join us, online, or you might be looking at your phone, just know that anything is possible. This is Diondre Jackson. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you for having me.
One word probably describes you right off the bat. When you walk in a room, Chris, my producer, was saying this, John Wright was saying it, members of the crew were saying, you just exude swag.
Now,
do you accept that?
I do not accept that swag, no, I don't.
As he falls back like this, right? I do not accept that I am swagalicious. Welcome to the broadcast. Where'd you grow up?
Everywhere. I'm an Army brat.
Walk me through all the places you lived.
I've lived in Germany, Virginia, Texas. Went to middle school in San Francisco, California, high school in Columbus, Georgia. And after high school, I spent the rest of my life here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
What did that do to you, moving to all those different places? How did that affect the way you do life and the way you see life?
I don't put people in a box. You know, growing up on Army bases around the country, you live with all races, and it's based on rank. So all of us that lived in the same neighborhood, all of our moms or fathers, they made the same amount of money, and so I just had an assortment of friends of all races.
Brothers and sisters?
Two. I have an older brother and a younger sister. We're all a year and a half apart.
Tell me about your dad.
I owe everything that I am to him.
Wow.
I don't even think he realizes it, but if in my opinion, if you look up sacrifice, it's a picture of him working, because that's what he did, you know, as kids. He sacrificed for us every day. So.
Tell me about your mom.
Diondre Jackson, wonderful lady, God's gift to this world. She can cook like nobody's business. And she's the sweetest. My mom, I think, is one of the sweetest people in the world. She is just the sweetest person. She can't say no to anyone.
Mix of personality. Are you more like your dad or your mom? Are you a ratio of each?
I would say I'm probably more like people would say I'm probably more like my dad.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of like it to be straight.
Well, that's the way the man was prior to me going to college. The day they dropped me off at the University of Tennessee in front of Gibbs Hall, he's a military man.
Right.
Okay. And
stoic.
He's trying to raise men. Okay. And I never forget that when they got back to Georgia, he called me on the phone, and I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, Dre, he said, Dre, what's going on at college? I mean, he became my friend at that point, and it was a weird transition, and he became my friend. My dad was 40 when they dropped me off at the University of Tennessee. I'm 40 now.
Wow.
Okay, and so he's relatively young. I didn't realize that. Growing
then,
up.
right? 40 was old then.
Yeah, 40 was old then. I thought he was an old man. Okay.
All right. Why don't we do this? I want you to think about a one-word description for your father. Like if you had to sum him up in a word, and I want to know what that word is and how that word affects you. And when we come back, I want to talk about the University of Tennessee. You were captain of the track team. I want to talk about running for your life. We'll do that when we come back. This is Diondre Jackson. You're watching Anything is Possible, because it is. More in a moment.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
I want kids to reach their full potential in life, and I'm able to have a career, make a living, provide for my family doing that.
Welcome back to Anything is Possible. This is Diondre Jackson. I count you as a great friend. I think you are, you already are a star, but you're a rising star because the work that you do, I believe, is so important, but I also believe that the work that you are going to do in the future is vital. He helps young people become champions. He's got a nice portfolio of things he uses to make that happen. But thank you for being here today. One word to describe your dad.
Sacrifice.
Sacrifice. And so how does that impact you?
I've just learned that there is a great value in sacrificing today to achieve some of the things that to have success in the future.
The University of Tennessee track and field, when did you know what was your event, what was your specialty, and when did you get recruited to UT?
I was a high jumper, and I think it started my sophomore year in high school. I learned how to high jump in San Francisco, and I was pretty good. And I was a basketball player and played football, but I was good on those things kind of on a regional and citywide level, but in the high jump, I was one of the top 5 high jumpers in the country.
They tell me not to play basketball. They say as a 40-year-old, you can still.
I can, but I don't have much cartilage left in my knees, so.
So tell me about high jumping and how high did you jump, and talk about competing and how'd you get really good at that?
I love it didn't matter. I don't think it mattered what I did. I just wanted to just be good at something and go to a big school. And when I came on my recruiting trip at the University of Tennessee, and I went to Auburn in Alabama, Auburn in Georgia. And when I came on my recruiting trip to Tennessee, Georgia and Auburn, they put me in a nice hotel room and took me to these nice restaurants and, just rolled out the red carpet. I came to UT. They gave me a blanket and a cot, and I slept in Lawrence Johnson's room in Gibbs Hall. And that was it. I was done. I was like, I'm coming here.
Why did that make more sense to you?
I'm 18 years old. Who wants to be stuck in a hotel room? Who cares about nice restaurants? I want to see what it would be like to be a part of the team, one of the guys. And they had that experience. And Tennessee track and field is just rich in tradition. At the time, it was one of the best, track schools in the country. Had, some world-class high jumpers here. And that was, because, I wanted to be the best, and that I was so. But I jumped 7'3½".
7'3½". That's, you go up 7 feet, 3.5 inches and go over a bar. And this is not pole vaulting. This is jumping and the Fosbury flop.
Fosbury flop.
Fosbury.
Yeah. And
7'3½".
Yeah, it's not a natural thing to do. I'll tell you, that's probably why I blew both my knees out in college. I think I was healthy in those 5 years. I think I was healthy 4.5 months doing competition. That's it.
4.5. Wow.
I was probably 100% during that time. The rest of the time I was 75. 80.
How does a person jump 7'3½"?
It's just God. He's like, that guy right there, he's going to jump that high, period.
Right.
And just training. And
so what did you have to train, though, to jump that high?
Seriously?
Yeah.
I did a lot of dunking. Dunking a lot of basketballs, a lot of squats, bounding, plyometrics. That was my life in college.
Do you see the metaphor, though, for the life that you have now?
I do.
Right?
Yeah, I do.
Because you're trying to go higher in a lot of different areas in your life, and I think you are recognizing that you have to train to jump. Speak about that.
Yeah, I do. I think when you're competing, it's muscle memory. And so in practice, you're training your muscles, different drills to be able to do the right things when you compete. And you can't think about it. It just has to happen. And so in life, as we work, as we're faced, confronted with different conflicts and challenges, it has to be right here. It has to be, how you prepare for those moments. As a child, the way my mother raised me, prepared me to do some of the things that I'm doing today. So, and I don't know if you call that muscle memory or not,
Yeah.
but it's kind of the same concept.
Yeah, the heart is a muscle. So now, what are you doing? Tell me about the work that you do and the work that you want to do.
Right now, and for the last 11 years, I've been the executive director of the First Tee of Greater Knoxville and Williams Creek Golf Course. And it's a unique nonprofit where we have an earned income model of operating a golf course. Then we have a nonprofit model of impacting kids through the game of golf, teaching them those life skills and core values. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to work with some, other folks here in our community on our board to take the program to impacting, 100 kids to tens of thousands of kids, across our region. And I think it's just kind of who I am, and it took me a while to figure out that I'm about just changing kids' lives. I want kids to reach their full potential despite economics, despite race. I want kids to reach their full potential in life, and I'm able to have a career, make a living, provide for my family doing that. And
I think one of the things that really struck me about you had two young men, and you saw that they needed somebody to make a sacrifice for them. And I remember you moved them into your house. You remember this?
Yeah.
You said, I'm just going to take you into my house. You don't have the right kind of influences around you presently. And I was shocked because you were, was that 7 or 8 years ago?
I guess.
Right? So you couldn't have been 32. And here's this young guy, and you decide to take teenage young men into your house to give them a shot at a better life. And I was thinking, wow, I hadn't seen anybody make that kind of sacrifice at that age. Not at the me stage of life, not at the money stage of life, not at the acquisition stage of life.
Right.
Why'd you do that?
Because it was the right thing to do. It's what was needed to be done. And at the time.
What did you see in their lives? What was the triggering? What was the inciting incident? What made you go, I've got to take that step?
It's me, Hal. I'm a spiritual person, and I was riding home from work, and the Lord told me to find Marquise, and so I started looking for him, just riding around, East Knoxville, and he told me where to go, and that's where he was. And I said, hey, where you going? What are you doing? It's like, I don't know, just hanging out. I said, come on, let's go home. You hungry? And he went home and eventually got his stuff. And I wanted him to graduate from high school. And the only way he could graduate from high school is if I took him to high school every morning and picked him up. And so, I wanted to graduate from high school, and I'm sure that was I know that was something good for him, but it was probably even more for me, because he was 17, 18, 7 years ago. Now 23, 24. Some of these guys are my best friends. Some of the guys that I worked with over the years now are. One young man, he's the godparent of my 3 kids.
Really, one of the guys you took in?
Well, one of the guys I mentored, he lives in Nashville now. He's a vice president at a bank with a master's degree, and you know, and him and that's kind of what I want people to understand, how close to home this is. I think a lot of folks think that, okay, that's what's happening over there, it's not impacting me. Whereas, you know, one young man that I developed a relationship with through Young Life, helped him go to college. My wife and I helped him to stay in college, graduate, and was there with him throughout that whole, you know, through college. This kid ended up marrying my wife's roommate in college. Okay, so yeah, we've helped impact his life, but now, you know, he had a son about 3 months ago with my wife's roommate from college.
Wow.
And we vacation together, we do things together, and so it's, you know, I selfishly sometimes do what I do because I gotta find husbands for my daughters. I want them to marry good men, you know, and I want my son to marry a good girl like I have a good girl, good lady at home. So we're all interconnected.
It's not something that's theoretical to you. This is life.
It is.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about your family and I want to talk about your future. This is Diondre Jackson. Don't adjust your set. That is real, dense swag. We'll be back.
Swag.
Coming up.
What's going on now in our community, I think it's the absence of one thing, and that's men leadership.
This is Anything is Possible. This is Diondre Jackson. I keep saying swag. Swag is when you just have that kind of a princely bearing about yourself. It's a presence that says, you know, God's blessed you with ability and given you maybe a confidence in that God-given ability. But it's really not about you. And I know that you're not that kind of person, but I just wanted to define what we see. So this whole process of transformation through sacrifice, you really have a place in your heart where you want to see young men become great men. You want to see young people become great, right? Mm-hmm. Because you had that influence in your life. Talk about your family. You got a wife and some great kids.
My wife, she is, I'm just trying to keep up with her most of the time. She is a chemical engineer. She is a wonderful mother. And me and my children absolutely adore her. And I would not be sitting in this chair if it wasn't for my wife. She definitely is a Proverbs 31 woman.
Wow.
So, but yeah, my children, wonderful kids.
What are their names and ages?
Delaney, my oldest, is 10. She's going to future CEO. Diondre is 8, and he's just like me. In Denver, she is 4, and she's an athletic one. So that's the Jackson 5.
I love it. Kind of cast a vision of what you want to do in the future. What do you think you're here for? What's the possibility you want most to embrace?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. I definitely know that I'm here to impact the lives of young folks. I'm 100% certain of that. And I want to see that happen. I want to use the things that my experiences and my knowledge to see that done. What's going on now in our community, I think it's the absence of one thing, and that's men leadership from men. And I heard you say, give me 500 strong men, and I could change our community. I think if we had 25 men from the community working in the community, in the lives of these young folks, then we can see that change that we want to become. And it's not going to happen overnight. I think it can happen faster than we think. And so that's something that I definitely want to be a part of, is getting folks involved, businesses, nonprofits, involved in helping change the lives of some of these young folks in our community.
As an athlete, as a CEO, as a businessman, give me one word that is required for possibility to become reality.
I think commitment. If you're committed to it, then, you know, you're going to find a way. You know, I mean, just the things that you really want to do, people really want to do, they find a way to get it done. I just think we need a collective few folks to say, hey, we're gonna make this happen, no matter what. And we could see it done. I look at the place that I'm employed at now, and you know, it's the vision of few folks. You know,
That were committed.
Jim Bush, Sam Anderson.
We can make it happen.
We're gonna make it happen.
Right. It almost seems like the model that your father set forth, and we'll end on that, that at some point in your life you have a vision that's worth sacrificing for. Like he said, I got a family, and for them to get where I want them to be, I've got to make a sacrifice. But sacrifice demands commitment. So you put those two together, you get swag. Diondre Jackson, thanks for coming, and thanks for being so committed to seeing lives transformed and possibility realized. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We'll see you next time on Anything is Possible.